Happy Monday, happy Monday. Boy, if you watched our live stream on Friday, you know what a train wreck that was. I couldn't win. First, we started out and had this major echo problem, which I hope we're not hearing today. And I can't figure out which end, whether it was Pat or whether it was me, but it was just dreadful. And then so we closed off and then we got back on and we're rocking and rolling. Things are going okay. And then my internet just stopped. I'm looking at here and I go, lost connection. Once that happens, there's not a whole lot you can do. You're just out for the count. So, but I did make a change yesterday. Let me show you this for a second here. So I changed to, not that this is going to make a difference, because if your internet's out, it doesn't matter what speed you've got, it doesn't exist. So I went to Cox Gigablast. Look at this download speed, 809. Upload speed, 3488. So I thought that was kind of impressive. I used to have fiber optics for a while, and it would rock and roll at about 1,000 and a 950 upload. So if I leave Phoenix and go to some rural area, and I end up with 30 MPS, I don't think I could deal with it. So anyway, so what's our news today besides broken internet? Let me bounce over here for a second. 4,783 listings on the market this morning. The 7-day moving average was pretty much a tie again. 4,238 homes came on the market. 4,243 went under contract. There is a sense that more listings are starting to come on, and it's starting to show up in the numbers. On Saturday morning, our listings actually increased by 500 units. That's the first time we've seen an increase on a Saturday in months. And it's tiny, 500 homes. That's not gonna float anybody's boat. But it's a hopeful sign. The bidding wars are still out there, although I did not see the level of traffic that I have been seeing. So when you're in this kind of a crazy market, you just try to grab a hold of anything that you can see that thinks that maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel. And an increase in listings is something that we clearly need, not just here, but all across the country. And we're seeing rapid appreciation, which I'm going to show you here in the next slide here. So this is the annual appreciation rate. The green line is 2005. Where we got up to where homes are appreciating at an annual rate of 45%. Right now, we're tracking for the year at almost 30%. So it's going to be pretty easy to hit this year and be up 40%, if not more. Now, the difference between here, us hitting 40%, and them hitting 40% in 2005 is that by the time we got to 2006, even starting in 2005, we had a year's worth of inventory out there. So, the prices were going up then for totally different reasons. It's just because you could just fog up a mirror and get a loan. People were buying homes that they weren't moving into, and that was what was happening. Now, nationally, we're looking at a few things. We're looking at our mortgage rates here. And when I show you these links here, I'm putting the links down in the bottom, in the body, so that you can take a look at them later if you want and cruise the news like we're doing right now. And mortgage applications have actually gone down about 1/4 point in the past couple of weeks. So March was brutal. Everything went flying up. And now they are turning. Nobody knows how far they're going to turn. But, the economic news is getting better and better. And some people think it's getting worse and worse. So the markets are kind of pricing that in and saying, well, I don't think we need high rates yet. So they're not up there that much. They're showing today at 3.18, yesterday at 3.16. Keep in mind, this is a national average. So, your broker may come in with a lower rate, may come in with a higher rate, but this is where we sit on a national average. Don't ever call a lender and say, what's your rate? Because there are so many variables in that. What kind of fees you're going to pay, how many points you got to get, what's your credit score, what's your debt to income ratio. All of that affects the rate. Don't just bounce from lender to lender going, what's your rate? Because that can even change over the hour. Now, a couple things too to look at. There's an article here by Realtor.com, and it's saying that surprising reason why we may not see foreclosures. And it's talking about how many homes are in forbearance. And it says as of April 13th, 4.4% of homeowners With a mortgage, we're in forbearance, according to Black Knight. Black Knight is the organization the company that tracks all this stuff. That percentage has been ticking down steadily as the economy improves. Still, there's never been so many projected homeowners leaving forbearance at one time. And that's why the CFPB, last week warned mortgage companies that they must be prepared to handle an influx of calls from homeowners in financial stress this fall. What they're telling them is, look, you're going to have a whole bunch of resets coming. You better have your systems ready. You better be geared up because we want you to be able to process these things quickly. We don't want homes to fall into foreclosures. We realize some will, but we don't want you to be unprepared because that number is big and the reset's coming for them. And it's going to probably overwhelm a few of the servicers. But they go on in this article and say, almost 5 million homes were in forbearance at the height of the crisis in May, around double the current rate, according to Black Knight. Now think of that, around double. So they're saying 5 million, and right now we have about 2.5. Many homeowners found their financial situation was not as bad as they feared at the start of the pandemic, so they were able to leave forbearance. So there are about 2.5 million people that got out of it. Said, well, yeah, I guess I didn't lose my job. I had a delay in payments. That's great. Helped me get back on my feet. But don't get me wrong. There's people out there that did lose their job and they're going to have a hard time. Now, I kind of tee that up for a reason. Because the president has laid out his proposal that he wants to present to Congress, and it's called, I can't remember what it's called. They've always got some kind of wacky name. But there's some things in it that just aren't kosher. And one of it says here that it's talking about rentals, and it's saying 1 in 10 homeowners with a mortgage are behind on payments. They have huge amount of renters that are about to hit the streets. But in this article, and I can't find it right now, so I'm not going to bore you scrolling through it. They say that there are 10 million homeowners behind on their mortgages and in forbearance. Now take that with a grain of salt. This is the federal government that wants to put out a $25,000 grant for you to help first-time homeowners. I'm going to explain that grant here in just a moment. But they're telling you that 10 million people are behind. Now, I just showed you numbers that it's only 2.5 million. So sometimes they exaggerate the numbers so they can get their program passed. So keep that in mind as people are looking to push this through Congress, because it's a lot of money and it's our money. So I don't like, you've heard me talk about the $15,000 grant. I don't like it simply because it doesn't mean that I don't want to help people get into a home, but our problem is inventory. And inventory is so short that if you start putting money out there and getting people incentivized to purchase a home when there's such low inventory, all you're going to do is drive the prices up higher and higher. And if you increase that from 15,000 now to 25,000, you're going to make it worse. But that program is so restrictive. It's just really weird. They've got provisions in it that say that you have to be a first-time home buyer, which means you haven't bought a home in 3 years, but also that your parents haven't bought a home in 3 years. I can't even wrap around my head around how that makes sense. And then, but not everybody can participate in this because it may be only set up for people that feel like they've been oppressed, and it's so muddy. I don't see it getting through Congress. So don't hang your hat sitting around waiting for Congress to give you an incentive to get into a house. I'll tell you what I'd love to see. I would love to see some kind of tax advantages, almost a tax credit if you would sell your house. So let's say you had a $500,000 house and Congress comes up and says, well, we already have the capital gains exclusion. It's $500,000 for a couple. What if they give you a tax break for selling that house? So you've got an incentive for selling that house. And then more people will put their houses on the market, solves our inventory problem, and people have tax incentives for doing that. That's one of my ideas, along with Pat's, and it won't see the light of day, folks. Sometimes I have good ideas, but they don't go anywhere. Who would listen to me, right? As we go into the week, I'm really curious to see. Oh no, we've got a comment here. It says, "I agree. Why not give home builders the incentives?" Yeah, I agree. Give home builders the incentives to start adding more homes and adding them quickly. because we're really struggling with that here right now. This week, I'm really curious to see where inventory goes tomorrow. Tuesday and Wednesday is always the lowest we have. It dips down below 4,000 units, but right now we're at 4783. We're not going to lose 700 homes today. So if we can keep adding 200 to 500 homes a week, that'll give us a decent summer to where some of the bidding wars will subside a little bit. We're still seeing, we haven't seen bidding wars in the over 55 sections as much. It's not as brutal as we see out in the rest of the market, but it is there. So we just never know, what you're going to bump into, and it all depends on the house. Now, I'm on a bunch of email lists that I get from investors that send me homes and say, hey, you might want to show this one. And I have one that caught my attention this morning because it said it was only 119,000. So I had to take a look at this bad boy. Whoops. That's what happens when you hit a wrong button. So here's what I want to show you. I want to show you this home. It's we're not leaving yet, folks. 119,000. What do you think? Who wants it? It's way out west. I mean, look at that thing. You can't remodel that bad boy. That thing's going to crash. That is pretty bad, but that's what I got this morning. So that's my Monday deal of the day. So Judy says, so the best days to list are Tuesday, Wednesday for the buyers wanting something immediately. Yeah, I think so. I mean, you have such low inventory and people are going out. They're not waiting till the weekends to look. They're going out as soon as the house hits the market. I've got a buyer right now. I've got a couple of them, in the morning. And fortunately, during the week and on the weekends, I'm just prepared. I'm waiting, because I send them homes every day. And I'm just prepared. Rick, can we see this at 4 o'clock? You got it. I don't have a 4 o'clock today, but it's early. I might. I do have a 4:30 appointment today with a YouTube couple that wants to talk about Chandler and Gilbert. So I'm happy to do that. And when we do that on a Zoom call, I actually do it using StreamYard. Then we can kind of cruise around the neighborhoods and I can show you what's available, show you what pricing is doing, and we can look at all kinds of data. I know all the neighborhoods well around the valley, so we can discuss it openly. Say, here's what's good. Here's where you can find information on the schools. There's some really cool restaurants down here. This area is kind of sketchy, stuff like that. I try to not say something sketchy. I don't want to get in trouble with the powers that be. But anyway, so if you want to schedule a call with me, you can just send me an email, or there's a link in the comment section below where you can schedule a Zoom call. And I'd be happy to go over some of the stuff that's going on here. News totally unrelated to real estate. Did you see where NASA launched a helicopter? It's a tiny one on Mars. They were able to fly up 10 feet, go left, go right, and come down and do circles, and they're testing it. I can't even wrap my head around the kind of technology it takes to fly a little helicopter in Mars. And the rotor speed has to be something like 10 times the speed to get things to fly in Mars than it is on the United States because of the thin atmosphere. But boy, I'd love to be the guy on the other end with those controllers flying around Mars in a helicopter. That's pretty stinking cool. So I like that stuff. Anyway, I'm glad that we didn't see a internet crash today. We're going to continue to trudge forward. Can't wait to talk to everybody tomorrow. Have a super, super Monday.